After losing to the Celtics in last year's postseason, the Cavs opted to stick with their core four of Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, and Allen. This decision might have surprised some fans, but I think it made a lot of sense considering they're all still relatively young and have plenty of room for improvement. Last season, the Cavs showed flashes of being arguably the best team in the NBA, especially during January and February, where they went 18-2 over a 20-game span. Their challenge, though, has been consistency, largely due to health issues. Just last season, Mitchell missed 27 games, Garland missed 25, Mobley 32, and Allen missed 8 playoff games, including the entire Celtics series. Mitchell was also out for the last 2 games of that series as well. Given that context, it's clear why Cleveland's front office decided to give this group another chance. The Cavs' only major offseason move was replacing coach J.B. Bickerstaff with former Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson, and so far, the decision is paying off. The Cavs are currently the only remaining undefeated team in the NBA at 11-0 and have the league's best offense. Cleveland's identity over the last 3 years has been their defense. They have consistently been a great defensive team since the arrival of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley in 2021, but it's been the offense outside of Donovan Mitchell that has been somewhat inconsistent over the last 2 years. This season, however, it's a different story. The Cavs boast an offensive rating of 122.4 or 9.3 points above league average. That's over 9 points better than their offense from last season, so what exactly has made the Cavs improve on that end of the floor? Kenny Atkinson and his staff have embraced analytics and have focused on playing at a faster tempo that leads to more efficient shots in transition. The Cavs' pace has jumped from last in the league 2 years ago and 22nd in the league last year to 8th this season. Playing faster has been an annual talking point for Cleveland's coaching staff, and despite J.B. Bickerstaff's emphasis on tempo last season, it never fully took hold. Atkinson, however, has turned his words into action, making a clear impact. Kenny has emphasized being in the proper lane offensively and filling the corners because that's what opens up the floor to play at that faster pace. Before the season, he stated, "Filling the corners is super important. I call them corner assists, when you get to the corner and open up driving lanes." This is something that he stressed with his 2 all-star guards because of their natural instincts of going back to the ball instead of running the floor in transition. And through 11 games of the season so far, Garland and Mitchell have done a great job of doing this. Garland has taken a career high of 23% of his threes from the corner, which is almost 9% more than last season. And it's the same with Mitchell, as he's taken 11% of his threes from the corner, which is about a 6% increase from last season. So it's no surprise that both Garland and Mitchell are shooting a career best from behind the arc. It's not rocket science. Pushing the tempo and generating open corner threes leads to very efficient offense. As a team, the Cavs are currently 10th in corner 3-point attempts per game, which is an improvement from 13th last season. The Cavs are a good defensive rebounding team, which helps them get going on these breaks. They are also 4th in the league in steals, which helps turn their defense into easy transition offense. Mitchell and Garland both attract a tremendous amount of attention at the 3-point line, so them making a consistent effort to run the floor and fill the corners opens up the lane for others to attack. Specifically, Evan Mobley has been fantastic so far at handling the ball and attacking in transition. Here, he takes it coast to coast before finishing with the Euro step. He's been doing a great job of getting downhill and almost looks like Giannis on some of these. The Cavs have done a great job of advancing the ball up the floor quickly with passes. In the past, Mitchell might look to dribble this up himself, but instead kicks it up to Mobley as he attacks downhill and makes a great pass to the cutting Niang for the layup. Pushing the ball in transition also gives the defense matchup problems. Austin Reeves is forced to pick up Mobley here, and Evan takes full advantage of the mismatch. He's finally learning how to utilize his size and length to get by defenders in these semi-transition situations. He definitely seems more comfortable and confident attacking the rim off the dribble. The Cavs seem to be using Mobley a lot like the Lakers have been using Anthony Davis. Less posting up and more face-ups from the top of the key, where he can use his quickness to get by slower bigs. Mobley currently has the highest usage rate of his career and is actually averaging more touches per game than Donovan Mitchell. This is a big change from last year, where the offense was very Mitchell-oriented. Obviously, you would rather have the ball in Mitchell's hands, but the problem was that meant Mobley was forced to be a spot-up 3-point shooter, which is not what he is. This year, the Cavs are running more offense through Evan as the main initiator, and when you have Mitchell and Garland, the lane is much more open because they attract a lot of attention from their three-point gravity, like I said before. Another thing that I've seen the Cavs do a lot is inverted pick and rolls with Mobley as the ball handler. I talked about this in my last video on the Lakers and how they do the same thing with Anthony Davis. Smart coaches understand that most bigs are not good at navigating screens. So if you have a big guy like Mobley or Davis who can handle the ball, this action is very effective. The next player I want to talk about is Darius Garland. He's fully healthy and playing the best basketball of his career. Many people, including me, somewhat wrote DG off after his lackluster season last year. But people forget that he had fractured his jaw last December and reportedly lost 12 pounds in the recovery process. And with him already being a small guard, that's very detrimental. But he has definitely bounced back this year as he's averaging 21 points and 7 assists on a career best 68.3% true shooting. And he's been doing this in under 30 minutes per game so far. Kenny Atkinson stated that he wants DG shooting 10 threes a game. And while he's not quite at 10, he's averaging about 9 3-point attempts every 36 minutes and shooting them at a career best 47.5%. This increase in 3-point volume, along with corner 3-point volume, like I talked about earlier, is why he's having the most efficient season of his career by far. I won't talk too much about Mitchell and Allen since nothing has really changed with them. They're still producing at elite levels like we've seen in the past couple of years. I do, however, want to talk about the Cavs' role players like Dean Wade, Caris LeVert, Sam Merrill, and Ty Jerome. They have got great production out of all 4 of these guys. We'll start with LeVert, who I think is one of the most underrated passers in the league today. Last season, he ranked in the 92nd percentile of Thinking Basketball's passer rating, which is a measure of a player's overall passing ability on a 1 to 10 scale. He's currently averaging about 7 assists every 75 possessions, and ranks in the top 10 of the league in points per possession on pick and rolls. Caris is a great piece to have off the bench to take some of the playmaking load off Garland and Mitchell. He's fully capable of playing within the offense and making passing reads off pick and rolls like he does here. Next is Dean Wade, who's kind of like the glue guy with the core 4, especially on the defensive end. He and Okoro have been the 5th starter this year since Strus has been out due to injury, but it almost has been a blessing in disguise because Dean Wade is very, very underrated. In the last 3 seasons, the Cavs have had a defensive rating of 114 while Allen and Mobley share the court without Dean Wade, which is honestly not too impressive. But in the 295 minutes when all 3 of them have been on the court together, they've boasted a defensive rating of 102, which would be the best in the league by far. Dean doesn't really offer much rim protection, but he's a smart defender and at 6'9" has the versatility to guard pretty much anyone on the court. I've seen him guard Brunson one game, Cade Cunningham another, and Giannis for a few possessions in their win at Milwaukee. He's not necessarily the quickest, but still does a good job of moving his feet and staying in front of smaller guards. He uses his strength and length to guard post players as well. Like here, he does a great job of defending this post-up from Anthony Davis. And here, Giannis tries to bash into him, but Dean holds his own. Dean doesn't do much on offense except for spot up behind the arc, where he's a career 37% 3-point shooter. He just needs to be consistent on that end, especially come playoff time. Now that we're talking about 3-point shooting, I think it's a perfect time to mention Sam Merrill. Dating back to last season, Merrill has shot 40% from 3 on an absurd 12 attempts every 75 possessions. He only plays about 20 minutes a night, but when he's out there, you know what he's looking to do. He's got one of the quickest releases that I've ever seen, and his ability to shoot in tight windows is why he's able to get these shots off at the volume that he does. The Cavs love bringing him off pin-down screens for easy looks. He's actually done a great job of cutting back door as well when the defense overplays him because of his shooting threat. This is some high-level screen reading as he slips right in between the defender and the screener for the layup. The Cavs also love to use him as a ball screener when they run inverted pick and pops. This is almost impossible to defend when you have someone like Mobley that can handle the ball and attack mismatches like I talked about earlier. That means the defenses can't switch these screens, and when you have Sam Merrill popping out, he only needs a split second to get off a clean look. On this one, they actually set 2 screens, first with Craig Porter, then another one with Merrill, which leads to an open 3. These inverted pick and pops make the defense scramble because of Merrill's ability to catch and shoot so quickly. Deuce McBride rotates to close out on Merrill, and Karras makes a great cut which forces Anunoby to drop to cover him. Merrill then finds the open Niang in the corner for the triple. Finally, let's talk about Ty Jerome. While he only plays 15 minutes a night, he has been ultra efficient in his time on the floor and is another shot creator who can take on some of the playmaking burden when Mitchell and Garland go to the bench. If you look at his per 36 minute stats, you would think he's a borderline star. 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists on an absurd 73.2% true shooting. He also has a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is exactly what you want from a backup point guard. Jerome has been a master in the pick and roll, generating a league-leading 1.56 points per possession as the pick and roll ball handler. He's not really the quickest, but is great at playing with pace and getting defenders on his back. He can pretty much make every pass in the book out of the pick and roll, whether it's pocket passes or lobs, but has also shown the ability to hit the shooter in the corner if his man helps on the roll. And this is going to sound crazy, but he actually reminds me of a smaller Luka Doncic. Just take a look at this slow step finish from him over the taller Jackson Hayes. He's got great touch around the basket, especially on his floaters. He's shooting an absurd 72% from shots within 3 to 10 feet from the basket. He loves using the hostage dribble to put defenders in jail and is great at using crafty pump fakes to create space for his floaters. This is my favorite one, as he puts his defender on his back again and uses the pump fake while stepping through for the layup. This time, he comes off the ball screen and does the same thing before hitting Thompson for the layup. I don't even know what this move is called, but he has completely mastered this slow step pump fake. This time, he drives, takes the bump and steps back before pump faking and finishing with the floater. I could go through even more clips, but I'll hold off because I'm thinking about making a whole separate video breaking down his game. He's truly one of the craftiest players that I've ever seen. All that to say, I still see one clear flaw come playoff time that is holding them back from becoming a true Tier 1 contender. And I want to give a shout out to Hoop Venue for originally pointing this out on his podcast, but I think Cleveland's core 4 of Garland, Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley is somewhat redundant. The Cavs are great at staggering their lineups and are the only team in the league that can always have at least one elite shot creator and one elite defensive anchor on the court at all times. So in the regular season, they don't lose many non-starter minutes. This makes them an elite regular season team, but in the playoffs, rotations shorten and teams tend to play their best 5-man lineup the majority of the game. And the Cavs' best 5-man lineup isn't necessarily elite because of what I said before, redundancy. What I mean by this is that DG and Mitch essentially do the same thing, as well as Allen and Mobley. This makes the Cavs' offense a bit clunky at times, so the Cavs' biggest strength in the regular season, which is being able to stagger lineups like I explained before, is almost their biggest weakness come playoff time. Just take a look at some of these on-off numbers from the past 3 years. When the core 4 all share the court together, they have boasted a net rating of plus 6.7. And while that's definitely good, I don't think it's quite good enough to compete with a true contender like Boston or OKC, who have cohesive 5-man units that play together really well. The Cavs have clearly been winning games because of their ability to dominate bench units with their staggered lineups. As you can see, the core 4 have been good together this season, but it's really been those lineups with just 2 out of the 4 that have been doing the heavy lifting. Being from Cleveland, I'm a Cavs fan myself, and I absolutely love watching them, so I'm not saying we need to blow up the team or anything. All I'm saying is that I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if we fall short in the playoffs again. But if there's anything that I wanted you to take away from this video, it's that this is not the same Cavs team as years past. It's clear that the offense has improved tremendously under Kenny Atkinson, which is what has made them so dominant to start the season. The increase in tempo and corner three-pointers, along with unleashing Evan Mobley as a play initiator, has made a huge difference in their efficiency on that end of the floor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're still watching right now, I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I am under 200 subscribers away from becoming monetized. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.